Welcome to Silverstone and the 7th race of the 2015 Euroformula Open. This is the 4th of 8 stops that will comprise what is already a very competitive season of Euroformula Open racing. And the challenge of the Silverstone Grand Prix circuits awaits the drivers over the course of this weekend that will take us to the halfway point of the campaign. So it's a very warm welcome from myself, Ben Evans, to a somewhat overcast and blustery Silverstone circuit. The precipitation has stayed away, but nonetheless it is a little bit chilly for the first weekend of June. Nonetheless, we do have a thrilling 15-lap race in prospect, however, as the championship fight beginning to come together very nicely between Konstantin Tereshchenko and Vitor Baptista. It was Baptista, who you may recall, won a couple of weeks ago in the second of the races in Estoril, and it is Vitor Baptista who has put his RP Motorsport car on pole position, and dominantly so for today's race. He lines up almost half a second quicker than all the other cars from qualifying earlier on. Alongside him on the front row of the grid is the DAV racing car, the very impressive Italian rookie Leonardo Pulcini. Pulcini making the step up from the Italian Formula 4 Championship, and he is looking to score his maiden podium in the Euroformula Open, having scored his career best result last time out. Third on the grid, the pre-season championship favourite Yuki Kanemaru, the Japanese driver returning for a second season in the Euroformula Open with Emilio de Villotto Motorsport, and he comes into the weekend third in the standings, albeit some way adrift of Tereshchenko and Baptista. Fourth on the grid is Alessio Rivera, victorious in Jerez back in April. Switcher teams to BVN Racing served him well in Paul Ricard, less well in Estoril. He has slipped to fourth in the championship, but he is right back at the sharp end. A very impressive fifth on the grid for Igor Wililko, another of the rookie drivers, the Polish competitor for the RP Motorsport team, and this his highest qualifying position of the season thus far. Clearly enjoying the swoops of Silverstone. Well, for Team Westtech, Silverstone is their home track just a few miles down the road from their base in Corby, and their prominent runner in qualifying earlier on was Tanart Sathienthirakul, coming into the Silverstone weekend hot on the heels of a very fine third place in race 2 at Estoril. Seventh on the grid, the Guatemalan driver Andres Saravia returning for his third Euroformula Open campaign. And Andres has been consistent this season so far with a best result of 5th place in the second race at Paul Ricard to his credit. Well, the big talking point of qualifying earlier on was that Konstantin Tereshchenko, the championship leader for Campos Racing, only down in 8th position, and Tereshchenko, thrice victorious this year, 5 trips to the podium, will have his work cut out if he's going to repeat that again this afternoon. Ninth on the grid for Yarin Stern for Team Westtech, one of the pre-season title favourites, again had a fairly wretched time in Estoril, and he really needs to get himself back onto the rostrum and into winning ways. So the grid beginning to be cleared. They'll then have that one green flag formation lap and then 15 laps of racing. Here is how they'll line up in full then. Vitor Baptista and Leonardo Pulcini, a very rapid and youthful front row from Yuki Kanemaru and Alessio Rivera. Then it's Igor Wililko and Tanart Sathienthirakul, Andres Saravia and Konstantin Tereshchenko. It's Damiano Ferrarenti who completes the top 10 just behind Yarin Stern. Then Diogo Menchaca, who knows Silverstone very well from his BRDC Formula 4 days. Enrique Baptista in 13th, alongside him Alexei Chuklin, who returns once more with the Corbetta Competizione team. Then Ahmed Al-Ghanem and William Barbosa on row 8. And then Jose Manuel Villalta, the Mexican driver for Emilio de Villotto Motorsport, continues his season of learning and development, and he lines up in 17th position. So the heat haze shimmers off the cars as they are about to be waved off on their green flag lap, which they do now, and it is the black nose-coned car with the orange piping and the grey colouring of Vitor Baptista, which leads away. Alongside him on the front row of the grid then it is the gold nose cone, bright red DAV racing car of Leonardo Pulcini. So if you've never seen the Euroformula Open before, to explain what we've got to look forward to over the next half an hour or so, this is ostensibly a Formula 3 championship. All the drivers are equipped with a Dallara F312 chassis, and then in the main difference from other Formula 3 categories, they are all supplied with a control Toyota engine by the GT Sport organisation, the championship promoters, together with a number of other control parts, which helps to keep costs very affordable, hence the healthy grid that we see year after year. All the drivers run on control compound and new for 2015 Michelin tyre, which has given us some great racing so far this season, not least because it really requires some maturity in terms of the tyre management. The peak window of the Michelin tyre gives some fantastic performance, but if you overexert the tyre too early on in the race, it really does drop away. So nervous faces in the RP Motorsport garage as their driver Vitor Baptista leads the field around on this formation lap. There is Yarin Stern, and Stern, who crashed out of a very comfortable third place in Estoril a few weeks ago, has had more than his fair share of bad luck already this year, also crashing the first race of the year in Jerez, although he did get on the rostrum in Jerez as well. Well, there is Igor Wililko, the Polish driver, who's moved across from the ADAC Formula Master Championship and has been learning steadily as the season has unfolded. He could well be a driver to look for to challenge for the podium, maybe even over the course of today, because the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit is a slight departure from the tracks where we've raced already this year, in that it has got some very lengthy straights, a lot of high-speed turns, and also some heavy braking zones as well. It makes overtaking marginally less challenging than it perhaps was in Estoril a couple of weeks ago. So there is the DAV team. They've already won a race this year. That was in the wet-dry race we had in Jerez when Alessio Rivera was with the team. But Leonardo Pulcini is something of a hot prospect. He was fourth in last year's Italian F4 Championship, having had a very impressive career in karting before that. So watch for the red car of Pulcini. Then third on the grid's the black car, Yu Kanemaru, and Kanemaru finished fourth in last year's championship, had 4 podiums along the way, still yet to win a Euroformula Open race. So the drivers just taking the opportunity to get a little bit of heat into their tyres as they head to the grid, ready for the start of the race. Silverstone, the venue for the 7th race of the Euroformula Open season and the home of the British Grand Prix. The perfect venue for some close and competitive racing. We should be in for an absolute treat. 15 laps, or if we get a safety car, it might revert to the time of 35 minutes as the last car of Jose Manuel Vilalta comes to a halt at the back of the grid. That means that the marshal is about to wave the green flag, which happens now. So the 5-second board is shown to the drivers. It's eyes to the gantry time as the red lights are on now. And away we go. Who's got the jump from the line? It's a good start from Baptista. Also, Yu Kanemaru gets away well and jumps Leonardo Pulcini as they turn through Copse Corner for the first time. Several of them fanning out wide as they jostle for position, sprinting on towards Beckett's. It's also a great start from Igor Wililko, but it's Vitor Baptista who leads from Yu Kanemaru, then Alessio Rivera behind Igor Wililko, and then in 5th, Leonardo Pulcini. And there's that Konstantin Terashenko who's up into 6th, I do believe it is. So he's had a good start to the races. William Barbosa and Alexei Chuklin battle lower down the order. Vitor Baptista trying to break clear early on from Kanemaru as it's 3 wide into Stowe Corner for 3rd place. And Pulcini, he manages to squeeze past Rivera. He can't quite demote the car of Igor Wililko. Wililko up into 3rd nonetheless. Now defends from Pulcini as they jump on the brakes into the Vale. And Pulcini looks to slide through. He flicks it sideways, so does Wililko. And they join, and there's contact between the pair of them. And disaster for Pulcini and Wililko. Pulcini certainly out of the race. He's buried in the gravel trap. I suspect Wililko has got damaged suspension too. What a shame as Igor Wililko joined the circuit having run wide. He just didn't get given enough space as Tanat Sathian Thirikal runs very, very wide in his Team WestTech car and is going to rejoin right at the back of the field. So very dramatic early stages, but not for our race leader, Vitor Baptista. He leads by almost 3/4 of a second from Yu Kanemaru. Then in 3rd, it's Alessio Rivera. 4th is Terashenko, who has benefited from the dramas from those in front. Then it is Damiano Fioravanti, and Fioravanti looks to the inside of Terashenko into Brooklands as Yarin Stern goes around the outside of Andres Saravia and up into 6th position. A fine first lap from Stern. So there is Andres Saravia. I think he's got Anthony Patak just in behind him. And then it is Diego Menchaca. There is Menchaca, the Telmex back driver. Former race winner, of course, in the BRDC Formula 4 Championship. He finished 7th in that championship last year. Here's another look then. Pulcini squeezed through, pushes Wililko out wide as Wililko rejoins, launches Pulcini into the air, and the right rear corner of Pulcini's car ripped asunder, and frustration for Pulcini out of the race just half a lap in after that collision with Wililko. Well, Wililko is back into the fray as we rejoin the fight for the lead, as Kanemaru closes in on to Vitor Baptista. Meanwhile, Damiano Fioravanti to the right-hand side of the picture challenges Tereshenko and is challenged in turn by the blue and white car of Yarin Stern. They accelerate through Stowe Corner, and Fioravanti pressurising Tereshenko, the Russian driver in the white Campos racing car. He's got a train comprising most of the rest of the field behind him. And also worth noting is the progress of the yellow car of Alexei Chuklin. He's up to 10th and absolutely flying on a circuit that he enjoys. Tereshenko defending into Abbey from Fioravanti. Tereshenko running a little bit wide over the curb through the left-hander at Farm. Fioravanti continues to apply the pressure. Here we go, 3 wide into Village, and they just about all make it through. As Yarin Stern looks to the outside of Damiano Fioravanti. Does Fioravanti see him? Yes, he does. That is a fantastic manoeuvre from Yarin Stern. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Kanemaru looks to challenge Vitor Baptista, and he's going to go around the outside at Brooklands, but Kanemaru just runs out of road. But brilliant racing early on. Because it's so breezy today here at Silverstone, we do have some pretty significant headwinds around the circuit, and what that's serving to do is, in all the races that we've seen on the supporting card, that the race leaders have struggled to break clear. That's what's unfolding. The leading trio, long way clear of the fight for 4th. Tereshenko again defends from Yarin Stern. Stern looks to one side, then the other. Tries for the switch back through Kopp's corner. Tereshenko defending. That was robust to keep Yarin Stern behind him. It's there again, 2-3 wide into Maggots and Beckett. This is the fight for 4th position. It's the white car of Tereshenko who maintains the place from the blue car of Yarin Stern. It's just about everybody else fighting for 6th as they head down the hangar straight. Stern tucking himself underneath Konstantin Tereshenko's rear wing, as are several of the other runners. Stern then looks for the outside line into Stowe Corner. It's unlikely to work out at the front of the field. Kanemaru continues to apply the pressure to Vitor Baptista. There is the 3rd place car of Alessio Rivera, but Kanemaru has got a good run on Baptista as they climb out of Club Corner. And just covering the inside line, Vitor Baptista. It means that Kanemaru follows him through Abbey and then Farm. He's not quite close enough to challenge. He is close enough to challenge on the brakes into Village, but he runs out wide, and Kanemaru leads the race for about half a metre. Then immediately repassing him is Vitor Baptista. Kanemaru slides the rear of the car as he squirms out of the loop. And all of this could give Alessio Rivera the chance to close in, make it a 3-way fight for the lead of the race. Down the Wellington straight they come. We are on lap 3 of 15 here at Silverstone, the 7th race of the Euroformula Open season. Thank you very much for joining us today, as in the challenge for 4th, Yarin Stern looks to the outside of Tereshenko. But we've seen a couple of times already this year that Konstantin Tereshenko can be a very effective defensive driver. Meanwhile, making very good progress is Diego Menchaca. He is up into 8th place, looking to apply the pressure to his rookie class rival, Anthony Patak. As Tereshenko again defending from Stern into Kopp's corner. Yarin Stern driving through the understeer from the turbulent air kicked from the car of Konstantin Tereshenko. They have got Damiano Fioravanti right up behind them as well. The invisible piece of elastic between the cars extends slightly through Beckett's, but Stern has got a fantastic run through Beckett's as Tereshenko runs wide. That should give Yarin Stern a bit of momentum out of Chapel Curve and onto the hangar straight. As Damiano Fioravanti looks to close in onto the tail of Stern as well. Meanwhile, Menchaca and Patak side by side into Stowe Corner. Anthony Patak to the inside line. The white and blue car of Menchaca to the outside, then looking to cut back As now Yaron Stern suddenly slips into the clutches of Fioravanti, who launches a move to the inside and is able to snatch 5th position away from Yaron Stern. Meanwhile, Menchaca and Patak still sort themselves out, and Diego Menchaca moves clear of Anthony Patak, who immediately comes under pressure from his RP Motorsport teammate Andres Saravia. And then it's the white car of William Barbosa just in behind them, the bright yellow car of Alexei Chuklin. And then we've got Igor Wililko recovering up through the order after his early adventures with Pulcini. Oh, and Barbosa goes for a move that was never on. There's contact all around. Wililko hits Chuklin. Pushed out wide is Andres Saravia. And the pressure finally had to pay. And a little bit of over-optimism on the brakes from several drivers, as Yaron Stern immediately looks to repass and reclaim that 5th place from Damiano Fioravanti. Frenetic racing in these early stages. Vitor Baptista is our race leader. 2nd place is Yu Kanemaru. 3rd is Alessio Rivera. And then we are focusing, rightly so, on the fight for 4th, currently headed by Konstantin Tereshchenko. Here's another look at Fioravanti moving to the inside of Yaron Stern. Vale, full steering lock from Fioravanti, but he gets the car turned in just in time. Here was then the over-optimism from William Barbosa, who spins really to avoid having an accident with the car in front of him. And then Alexei Chuklin was just a little bit caught out, runs over the wheel of Wililko, who suddenly arrived on the scene. I don't think there should be any damage incurred in all of that. Back to the front of the field, and Kanemaru still closing in on Baptista. Here is the 3rd place car of Alessio Rivera. The BVM driver could do with a solid points haul. The fight for 4th, Yaron Stern immediately coming back onto terms with Tereshchenko. He's got Fioravanti and then Diego Menchaca with him for company. Then the next group is headed by, it's that Igor Wililko, who has fought his way through. So we're on lap 5 of the race, and Baptista leads the way. Yaron Stern all over the tail of Konstantin Tereshchenko. They go side by side into the loop. Tereshchenko gives Stern racing room, and then looking to dart through is Fioravanti. And Damiano Fioravanti has got a fantastic run now onto the Wellington Straight. This is brilliant racing, slipstreaming in Slicks and Wings cars at its very best, as they're going to go 3 wide into Brooklands. And it is somehow Konstantin Tereshchenko who retains 4th position into Luffield. Side by side go Stern and Tereshchenko. Still wheel to wheel again. Tereshchenko gives racing room to Yaron Stern, just about, who keeps his foot in, remains side by side with Tereshchenko as the pair of them sprint along towards Copse Corner. And amazingly, Yaron Stern goes through around the outside at Copse. Brilliant racing between Stern and Tereshchenko. Now, what has Tereshchenko got by way of reply? Meanwhile, Diego Menchaca is making excellent progress, as is Igor Wililko, who finished the 1st lap of the race plumb last. And he is on the road to recovery, up into 8th position and about to try and pass teammate Damiano Fioravanti, as Wililko looks the inside of Fioravanti into Stowe Corner and slides through. Fantastic pass that from Wililko. So it's now Yaron Stern in 4th, trying to break away from the Campos twins of Tereshchenko and Menchaca. Then we have got a trio of RP Motorsport cars. Here comes Tanart Sathian Thirikal. He moves up into 10th place, at least momentarily, past Enrique Baptista. But Baptista has got the inside line as he and Sathian Thirikal go very, very close into Abbey. And Enrique, great driving, retains the place from Tanart. They're about to be joined by Ahmed Al-Ghanem. There's the Q80 driver next along, and he has got the recovering Andres Saravia just in behind him as well. Out front, it is Vitor Baptista who continues to lead. Here is another look at that pass from Yaron Stern. Maximum commitment. He ran out of road just a little bit. But nonetheless, applause from Craig and the rest of the Team Westtech squad on the pit wall. So it is Baptista who leads. Kanemaru is in second place. Third is Alessio Rivera. Fourth, Yarin Stern. Fifth, and dropping back from Stern, is Tereshenko. Sixth is Diego Menchaca. Seventh now is Igor Wililko. And in eighth place, it is Damiano Fioravanti. So Tereshenko, who has been so impressive in the opening three events of the year, really struggling at Silverstone so far this weekend. And he's going to have a fight in his hands, potentially just to stay in the points. The driver just behind him then is Diego Menchaca. Menchaca currently second in the rookie race behind Rivera and ahead of Wililko. Looks to get into the tow behind Tereshenko as they head down the hangar straight once more. Meanwhile, Fioravanti goes wheel to wheel with RP Motorsport teammate Wililko. Wililko leaves it late on the brakes. Fioravanti leaves it even later. They remain side by side through Stowe. They come on towards the braking zone for Vale, and Fioravanti's got the inside line. He should make this stick if he judges it right. Indeed he does. Damiano Fioravanti reclaims 7th position from Igor Wililko. How long that's going to remain the case, I don't know, because immediately he defends as Wililko comes back at him. They then look to swoop through. The only bad news here for Wililko is that his team manager has been summoned to race control with immediate effect, potentially in relation to the ongoing investigation for that lap 1 incident, as Wililko goes for a move to the inside of Fioravanti. He pushes Damiano out wide, and that then allows Anthony Patak to close back in. We're on lap 7 of 15 here in Silverstone, the 7th race of the Euroformula Open season, and this is shaping up to be the race of the year in any category so far. We have seen so much overtaking and jostling for position on each and every lap, and it continues as Patak outbrakes himself, trying to overhaul Damiano Fioravanti. It doesn't quite work out, but the pair of them are both delayed. It allows Wililko to get a little bit of daylight over his teammates. So they accelerate onward. Meanwhile, Diego Menchaca looks to apply the pressure to Konstantin Tereshenko. Tereshenko leads the cavalry charge over the crest in the road on towards Maggots. You can see the advantage in 4th place that Yarin Stern has already pulled out over this fight for 5th position, which we are focusing on. Campos Racing Team watching on the pit wall, and a huge spin for Igor Wililko coming through Chapel Curve. Quite how that started, I don't know. Fortunately, has been avoided by the rest of the field, and that will have caused no limit to worrying moments. Meanwhile, Andres Saravia is watching Tanat Sathienthirakul and Enrique Baptista continue their fight for what is now 9th position. Sathienthirakul overcommitted then, and it allows Saravia to sneak through and into the final of the points paying positions. So still got this train of cars ferociously fighting, really from 5th place downwards. This is the battle for 13th place, headed by Alexei Chuklim in the Corbetta Competizione car. He has got the 2nd BVM car, that's the white car with the fluorescent yellow piping on it, of William Barbosa just in behind him. And then they have also been joined by Ahmed Al-Ghanem, and a problem for Sathienthirakul. He runs very, very wide coming out of the loop, rejoins, potentially diminished paces down the Wellington Straight. They come. Here is Enrique Baptista. It's got a little bit of daylight as we return then to our race leader on the 9th lap of the race, and Baptista flicks out the tail of his car through Beckett's. He is pushing very, very hard because he set the fastest lap of the race last time around, trying to break away from Kanemaru. If things stay as they are, this would be Baptista's 3rd victory of the season, and by my maths it might just be enough to put him in the lead of the championship as well, given the muted performance that we're seeing from Tereshenko. For Kanemaru, this would match his career best Euroformula Open result with a 2nd place. Japanese driver yet to win a Euroformula Open race, and today is probably one of the best opportunities which he has had to do so. In 3rd and leading the rookie class overall, it remains Alessio Rivera. There is Rivera in the BVM car, and again, a podium finish will bring him back into the championship mix. Just over half race distance, and it has been an absolutely scintillating race so far. Some brilliant dicing throughout the field, and in a week where Formula 3 racing has been much discussed for driving standards, except for that little tangle we had at the start of the race, and the mistake for Baptista as Vitor Baptista runs wide coming through entry, and Yu Kanemaru snatches the lead of the race. And that is curse the commentator. You talk about driving standards, you get a mistake that changes the lead. But what we haven't had, despite all the dicing, are the incidents that other categories have had this season. It shows that Formula 3 racing can be clean, close and competitive. And that's what we've had over the 9 laps so far this afternoon, Silverstone. So across the line we go, and Yu Kanemaru leads. 1.1 seconds is his advantage over Vitor Baptista. And you just wonder, as Baptista runs wide again, whether possibly he's gone with a very, very low downforce setup on his car and has just pushed those Michelin tires a little bit too hard and has got through their optimum operating window, because Kanemaru is putting together a very impressive first sector here as he accelerates out of Chapel Curve along the hanger straight for the Japanese driver. He just makes a couple of changes in direction to make sure he comprehensively breaks any toe to Baptista, but Baptista through sector 1, in fact, sets the fastest first sector of anybody in the race so far. Here's another look at it. Baptista gets the power down onto the curb, then the grass, and it just unsettles the car. He understeers out wide. And then as we follow the angle through, the loss of momentum for Vitor Baptista is enough to promote Yu Kanemaru. So the driver finished 4th in last year's championship, the pre-season title favourite, leading the way in Silverstone. The championship leader, meanwhile, in the shape of Konstantin Tereshchenko, under pressure and being harried by Diego Menchaca and Damiano Fioravanti. Got a drive-through penalty for Igor Wililko. I suspect he'll serve that fairly promptly. So the order then is Kanemaru from Baptista, Alessio Rivera, then Yarin Stern, Konstantin Tereshchenko, Diego Menchaca, Damiano Fioravanti, Anthony Patakis in 8th, Enrique Baptista 9th. Andres Saravia completes the top 10 as we're about to chalk up 2/3 distance, and only now is the race beginning to settle down. That said, Damiano Fioravanti has got a great car underneath him this afternoon. Can he do anything about overhauling Diego Menchaca? The 2 Campos cars continuing to dispute 5th position, being joined by the RP Motorsport car of Fioravanti as Menchaca eases through Brooklands, then around the never-ending right-hander at Luffield. The corner just goes on for an absolute eternity, and then immediately it feeds into Woodcote, which in dry weather you don't really think about too much, the right-hander. Instead you set your attention on setting up for Copse Corner, which requires maximum commitment. A pair of them turn through with barely a lift. Meanwhile, Vitor Baptista is on to terms with Yu Kanemaru, and last time around Baptista was half a second quicker than Kanemaru. He's got 5 laps now. Let's try and overhaul him. Baptista, the fastest first sector of anybody in the race so far, through sector 1 on this lap. Kanemaru desperately wants that first Euroformula Open victory. Vitor Baptista desperately wants his 3rd win of the season and the championship lead. The pair of them turning through Abbey, then through Farm, into the braking zone for Village. You can see just how hard Yu Kanemaru is trying the car, beginning to get beyond the aerodynamic grip levels, relying on some of the mechanical grip to get the car stopped in time. Vitor Baptista, though, after that mistake at the loop a couple of laps ago, a little bit tentative on that occasion. He just had a little correction mid-corner, and what that does is allow Kanemaru to maintain a slight buffer down the Wellington Straight into the braking zone for Brooklands. Late turn in for the left-hander, and then almost as soon as you exit the corner, you're setting up for the right-hander at Luffield. So they accelerate out of Luffield and through Woodcote over the start of finish line. This will complete the 11th lap of the race. Just 4 laps to go here at Silverstone. It's Yu Kanemaru who leads by under a second from a charging Vitor Baptista, with Alessio Rivera in 3rd. Baptista closing the pressure down as they turn through. Beckett's always living dangerously right out at the edge of the road, but does that give him enough of an advantage to chase Kanemaru down the hanger straight? The gap between the pair of them, 0.8 of a second at the line. It's down to 0.4 of a second at Stowe corner as we have the lick of flame from Kanemaru into Stowe, but Baptista runs offline into the marbles. Means that the Brazilian driver can't challenge as they get on the brakes into Vale. Then it's around the right-hander at Club, picking up the throttle as we go. Here is another look at their run through Copse Corner. Kanemaru halfway to Milton Keynes before he regained the circuit. And he's just got to be careful not to catch the eye of the race director for disobeying track limits, but it's through the middle sector of the lap where Kanemaru is so impressive. He has, again, got enough of an advantage over Vitor Baptista turning through the loop, not to worry about pressure down the Wellington straight. So the pair of them sprinting onwards. They've got the car of Igor Wililko. They might just catch between now and the checker flag to put a lap on the Polish driver who had to serve his drive-through penalty. Meanwhile, Damiano Fioravanti has found a way around Diego Menchaca. We didn't see the start of it, we saw the end of it, and Fioravanti moves up into 6th position. Demotes Menchaca, who nonetheless is still on course to equal his best result of the season so far. Here is another look at it. In fact, it happened into the Vale, where Fioravanti has been so competent on the brakes, trails it in and gains the place. Meanwhile, Tanat Sathienthirikul able to move around Enrique Baptista. That gives 9th place to the Thai driver. It throws immediately Enrique Baptista into the clutches of Andres Saravia, but this has been one of Enrique's best performances of the season to date. Clearly has got the Campos car working as he wants it to as they accelerate on towards Maggots and Beckett. You can see though Saravia just beginning to ask all the right questions of the Brazilian. Enrique, though, knows Silverstone again pretty well from his days in the BARC Formula Renault Championship. But another big spin from an RP car coming out of Chapel Curve. We saw Andres Saravia just getting onto the dust, and clearly it's still a little bit slippery on the grass from some of the rain we've had during the week, and it was enough to pitch him into a spin. So Saravia rotating out of contention for the points, and that promotes William Barbosa, Alexei Chuklin and the rest of them. Means that Enrique Baptista can breathe a great big sigh of relief. Meanwhile, in the fight for 5th position, Damiano Fioravanti now closing up onto the tail of Tereshchenko. And with 2.5 laps remaining, our order is Kanemaru, who leads from Vitor Baptista and Alessio Rivera. 4th is Yarin Stern. 5th is the fight we're watching between Konstantin Tereshchenko, Damiano Fioravanti, and then Diego Menchaca. Anthony Patakidis in 8th from Tanat Sathienthirikul on Enrique Baptista. Those are our point scorers. Here is Andres Saravia's moment to forget, just losing traction over the grass and the car spinning around. Fortunately, not coming into contact with anything more solid than fresh air, and therefore he should get himself back underway. Patak runs a little bit wide as he is now chased down by Tanat Sathienthirikul. Sathienthirikul looking for more points to add to his tally. Closes in on to the tail of the rookie driver from Poland, who's made the jump straight out of karting to the Euroformula Open this year, and with very good effect so far. This would be Anthony's best result of the season to date, but he has been learning steadily with each and every race. And there is the stricken car of Saravia. It's well off the racing line. So Andres Saravia out of the race. Now Sathienthirikul surely is going to be close enough to challenge Anthony Patak here. Patak darts the inside. Sathienthirikul continues to challenge at the outside. Great defensive driving from Anthony Patak. That was really nicely done, because he braked as late as he dared, and he still keeps Sathienthirikul to the outside as they head into the Vale. A pair of them almost interlock wheels. Sathian Thirical trying to force the move. That was absolutely fantastic from Patak to keep Sathian Thirical behind. Gave plenty of racing room to the driver from Thailand, as now Terashenko defends from Fioravanti. Fioravanti challenges to the inside, then the outside at Abbey. Just a lap and a half remains. This, the fight for 5th, 6th and 7th place. Terashenko forces Fioravanti to the outside. Fioravanti runs wide, and Diego Menchaca thought he was through. He is through as they hit the apex at the loop, and Fioravanti has got to do it all over again. The race leaders are through onto the last lappers now. Diego Menchaca is right in the slipstream behind Terashenko, heading down the Wellington Straight for the penultimate time. Terashenko to the inside, Menchaca to the outside. And again, Konstantin Terashenko maintains his position. Nothing overly robust in defence. He just knows to have the car in all the right places at the right times. So it's down the hanger straight for the final time. This is the fight for the lead. The black Emilio de Villota Motorsport car of Yu Kanemaru ahead of the RP Motorsport car of Vitor Baptista. Baptista had a fantastic 14th lap, as you can see, closing back onto terms with Kanemaru. We have got just under 2 miles of racing to go here in the 7th round of the Euroformula Open for 2015. Yu Kanemaru looking for his maiden victory in the championship. Will today be his day in the Silverstone sunshine? He turns into Abbey, and Vitor Baptista is not close enough and runs a little bit wide, in fact, for Abbey, and that means Baptista is nowhere near to Kanemaru as they turn through Village into the loop. Baptista thought about a little bit of a lunge, but instead he's too heavily on the brakes. It means that Terashenko should be untroubled through Brooklands. He accelerates down the Wellington Straight for the final time of asking. Vitor Baptista will have to do something utterly phenomenal, and he's not near enough to Kanemaru to do it at Brooklands. So into Luffield, Yu Kanemaru. He's taken advantage of that mid-race mistake from Vitor Baptista, and he accelerates through Woodcote Corner now, and it's Yu Kanemaru who is victorious in the 7th round of the 2015 Euroformula Open. Vitor Baptista in 2nd position, and then 3rd place should go the way eventually of Alessio Rivera. The Emilio de Villota Motorsport team celebrate on the pit wall. Their man Kanemaru has done it. Here is a replay of an enormous incident between Enrique Baptista and Anthony Patak, and Baptista running right over the top of Patak's car. And, well, Anthony Patak has been very well protected by the safety structures on the Dallara F312 car. Enrique Baptista trudges away, over optimism on the last lap from the Brazilian, and it's such a pity because until that point it had been such a clean and exciting race. For Yu Kanemaru and the Emilio de Villota Motorsport team, though, it is all about celebration time, as Kanemaru claims victory in what has been an utterly wonderful race from the Euroformula Open. This is Formula 3 racing at its very, very best. Yes, we've had the odd incident, but for the most part it's been very clean. The sausage curb launching Enrique Baptista, and Baptista damaging the suspension, just delighted really that he wasn't a couple of inches to the right, otherwise that could have been very unfortunate indeed. Here we see it again, and you can see, my goodness me, that was a matter of millimetres between the floor of Enrique Baptista's car and Anthony Patak's helmet. Patak, though, nonetheless making it through to finish in 10th place and 3rd in the rookie class. Meanwhile, there was a sort-out for 5th place because Terashenko came across the line in 7th, with Menchaca in 5th and Fioravanti in 6th. So let's take a look at the results of a thrilling race. Yu Kanemaru wins it from Vitor Baptista, who finishes 2nd, can console himself with fastest lap. Alessio Rivera 3rd, and the top rookie from Yarin Stern a fine 4th. Diego Menchaca a season best 5th, and the 2nd rookie finisher from Damiano Fioravanti. Konstantin Terashenko some points in 7th. Tanat Sathian Thirical in 8th, from William Barbosa a great 9th. And Anthony Patak, the 3rd rookie, in 10th. escaping that last lap instant. Alexei Chuklin just outside the points in 11th from Ahmed Al-Ghanem and Jose Manuel Villalta. Igor Lilko in 14th. Unfortunately, we lost along the way Enrique Baptista, Saravia and Pulcini. So in the championship, Vitor Baptista moves to the top of the standings. 3 points his advantage over Terashenko, with Kanemaru consolidated in 3rd place. Well, victory in the Euroformula Open has been a long time coming for you, Kanemaru. And he celebrates in time-honoured fashion. Thumbs up and jubilation for Kanemaru in Silverstone.
Bravo. Good job.
The congratulations continue apace in the Parc Ferme. Emilio de Villota, there he is, celebrating with you, Kanemaru. Vitor Baptista will be hugely disappointed with that mid-race mistake, which saw him slipping 2nd place. And Alessio Rivera once more on the rostrum in 3rd, and the top rookie. Beaming ear to ear, and quite rightly so, is Kanemaru. So in 3rd place, it was Alessio Rivera. A little bit of a lonely race for Rivera, but nonetheless on the podium. And an impressive drive. Vitor Baptista, this is one that got away. Euroformula Open Racing is all about learning, and he will be ruining that mistake coming through the loop as we head to the 2nd half of the race. For you, Kanemaru, though, a day to remember. He wins the 7th race of the season. Let's go down to Parc Ferme and hear from him now.
You, Kanemaru, great win here at Silverstone. How was it?
Yeah, we had quite a strong car from free practice, and we thought we'd be on a pole, but unfortunately we started from P3 and we had quite a decent start. And then I was always going to keep on pressuring the Baptista, and then eventually he made a mistake and I was in front of him.
You must be very happy this is the first win of the year.
Yeah, finally we won the first race, because in the beginning of the day we were really strong and we won the pre-season race at the Paul Ricard, and until then we couldn't win any, and then now we are finally here. Really happy with it.
And in Silverstone, which is always a very difficult track.
Yeah, it's always hard for the drivers because you need to really push on the fast corners, but I really like this circuit.
Well done to you and to Emilio de Villota Motorsport, and now Podium.
So let's take a look back at the highlights of an utterly thrilling race. Off the line, it was Vitor Baptista who got the jump on Leonardo Pulcini, who was rapidly demoted down the order as Kanemaru and Rivera swept through. We then had this incident that marred the first lap between Wililko and Pulcini. Thereafter, we had some great dicing in the early stages between Kanemaru and Baptista, as you was all over the tail of Vitor, but the Brazilian was able to withstand the challenge, at least early on. Wasn't for want of trying on the part of Kanemaru, who took the lead briefly, very briefly, with that manoeuvre. Meanwhile, the fight for 4th place was quite something. Up to 10 cars being involved at any one time, and 3 wide most of the way through. As William Barbosa just overcooked it, sending others scattering. Late on, scary accident between Enrique Baptista and Anthony Patak. Fortunately, both drivers okay. It was a mistake, though, about 2/3 of the way through, that saw Kanemaru able to overhaul Vitor Baptista. It was you, Kanemaru, who came through for his maiden victory in the Euroformula Open, to the delight of his Emilio de Villota Motorsport team. So time for Kanemaru, Reinhard Baptista and Alessio Rivera to celebrate on the Silverstone podium. Huge applause for the Emilio de Vlota Motorsport team as they cheer their driver, Yu Kanemaru, to the top step of the rostrum. The Japanese national anthem rings out in honour of Yu Kanemaru as he takes victory in the first race of the weekend at Silverstone for the Euroformula Open. Still in third place though, Alessio Rivera back onto the podium, his fourth trip of the season. Vitor Baptista, well, he's smiling, but that was one that got away. Nonetheless, he leads the championship heading into tomorrow's race. And don't forget, you'll be able to join us live for that. The coverage starts at midday British summer time, and that the race gets underway about 10 minutes after that at 12:10 tomorrow. So do make sure you join us for the race that will take us to the halfway point of the Euroformula Open season. Smiles on the Silverstone rostrum as the presentation of the trophies is underway. I think they will be maybe saving the champagne for tomorrow. And we will then have the rookie podium to come next. Another chance to enjoy in super slow motion. Rivera at work. So there is Anthony Patak, third place, and well, he will be looking back at the replay of that incident with Enrique Baptista with some relief. Runner-up, Diego Menchaca, great drive from Diego to fifth place, and Alessio Rivera victorious once again in the rookie class, and this time to the top step of the rostrum. The Italian national anthem for Alessio Rivera and his BVM team, winning the rookie class in the Euroformula Open at Silverstone. So first of all, third place for Anthony Patak, who drove very maturely, got his elbows out when he needed to. A super performance from Diego Menchaca, and that will hopefully give him confidence going to the second half of the campaign. And for Alessio Rivera, victory once more in the rookie class. So as they pose for the photos on the rostrum, it means it's time for myself, Ben Evans, to say thank you very much for your company at Silverstone this afternoon. Hope that you enjoyed what was an absolutely fantastic race. We look forward to you joining us for the rest of the Euroformula Open season.